I've been doing my research as we gear up for the Ryan Garcia versus Rolly fight, and I found a bit of bad news. In this video, I'm gonna break down what I stumbled across, right? And give you guys all of the details. So stay tuned to the end of this video. So we are gearing up for a pretty packed weekend of boxing. Starting Friday with Ryan Garcia versus Rolly, Devin Haney, and Teofimo in separate bouts will also be on the card. Then Saturday, a fight with Canelo Skull, Jaime Munguia is on the card, as well as Sunday, Naoya Inoue makes his American debut, and he'll be fighting in Vegas. Now, here's the problem. I'm not going to focus on Saturday and Sunday, as those fights are in Vegas, which is a desert, and also Saudi Arabia. But I want to focus particularly on the fight that I had questions, which is why I did this research. I had questions, being that the Ryan card was again on the East Coast. Now, for me, I said this the first time when Ryan fought Devin in New York. Why? Why? If Ryan is from California, Victorville, California, Devin Haney is from Henderson and was born in the Bay Area, right? So for all intents and purposes, you have two West Coast guys and you're putting them in New York for Haney Garcia 1, and then now for this triple header. Why? Like, I understand Times Square and stuff like that, but for this particular fight, why do they keep putting a West Coast guys? Even Arnold Barboza, he's from the West Coast as well, and Jose Ramirez. So for me, like, Jose Ramirez is from pretty much the Central Valley. He's from Fresno area, and Barboza is from the West Coast. So you have all these West Coast dudes outside of Rolly. Hold on. Rolly, I think, is from the West Coast too. He's from Las Vegas, right? So pretty much everyone on the card is from the West Coast except for Teofimo Lopez, right? And I always question the location of even the first Ryan and Devin fight, because that was pretty similar. You had Ryan and Devin, and then you had Barboza as the co-feature. So I don't understand why they keep taking them to New York. But one big question, been to New York several times, so it could be all over the place, right? I decided to look it up. So in looking it up, I found this, and you should see it on the screen. It looks like the weather will be like reasonable every single day except for the day of the fight, which is on Friday. So I'm looking at Tuesday, it's like partly cloudy, 77. Wednesday, 74, but the sun's out. Thursday, partly cloudy, but 65. But then on Friday, it's showing that there is 70% rain and 78 degrees. So some people still haven't gotten it. They're like, oh, okay, what does that have to do? Who cares? It's just a little bit of rain, ego. The reason I'm bringing this up is because this particular fight card is supposed to be this big reveal where it's outdoors and in Times Square outside, right? Which is, I don't know the setup. I haven't seen any kind of diagrams or pictures, but it is outside. So many problems with fighting outside. I mean, this is kind of common sense. I mean, if you watch football games and you look at certain, like the Buffalo Bills or Green Bay Packers, when you live in these inclement cold areas, you look at some of the teams that come to play in Green Bay, they don't know how to deal with that cold the same way. You know, they got hand warmers and they're constantly trying to warm their hand, or sometimes they'll go to kick and miss their kicks and everything is just off because it's cold. Now imagine that's a team sport Now, put boxing in the equation, right? You're talking about boxing. I'm not going to go too deep into it because I could talk about this for a good amount of time. But in general, muscles and cold and your body being cold, there are certain downsides to that. Like your muscles can lock up. You can experience types of cramping, right? I mean, you don't really even have to be a fighter to know we've all experienced cold sometime in their life, more than likely, unless you just live in perfect conditions where you've never been anywhere that's cold. Most of us can know the feeling of being cold. And have you ever been like out here in San Francisco? If you go to San Francisco without a jacket on some nights, you're going to be miserable, right? Because you're right by that water and it gets extremely cold, right? So at the end of the day, you know, teeth chattering, your muscles, you get goosebumps, you get cold. You're cold and your body reacts to it. Your nervous system reacts to it. It's also like the people who fall like underneath the ice and thin ice scenarios and they suffer hypothermia because of the cold water. Or you see a lot of boxers and just people, it's kind of popular now where people are doing cold plunges and cryotherapy, and a lot of people are dreading it. For me personally, I've done 30 days of cold showers and things like that, and let me tell you, the William Hoff and these different methods, it takes some getting used to for sure. Now, I've adapted to it, so I could do it pretty good, you know, once I get in the swing of things, but at first it's super cold. Now, you got to relate this to a fighter. You're going to fight. Like, I've always talked about this. Like, when you see a boxing match in the main event and then the person comes out dry, meaning like they didn't work up a sweat in the back, that could be detrimental to the fighter, because if you come out cold, as they call it, then you're coming out not warmed up and you don't have proper circulation. So when you get hit with a big shot, you know, you're unexpected and your body almost like shuts down and is not prepared for that, you know, versus when you built up a sweat and, you know, you don't want to exhaust yourself per se, but at the same time, you don't want to be cold. Like I'm just, some of this stuff I'm explaining to me is common sense, but common sense ain't that common. So I don't know how versed people are on this. Just think of it like this. Have you ever, and I like to give you guys analogies to put it in perspective. Have you ever been playing video games or watching TV and you have a night shift and out of nowhere you got to get up and go to work? You know what I mean? That feeling of you've been watching movies all day, lounging, eating and chilling, and let's say it's cold outside and you got to pick yourself up because you got to go to work for Black Friday night or whatever at your job. It's a miserable feeling. So just imagine a boxer who has a fight. I'm really curious if this was a great idea for them to be fighting in Times Square, New York, outdoors at this time of year when it's not guaranteed to be like better weather. And even if it was very hot, that could be problematic too. I've been at the StubHub where it was hot, and then I believe it was Andre Berto when he was fighting Virgil Ortiz. I was at that fight and he said the sun was in his eye. You know what I mean? So he was getting blinded by the sun. So no matter what direction it goes, if it's extremely hot, extremely cold, it comes with different problems and complications. And if it's going to rain, I mean, that's just kind of common sense. There's a 70% for the rain, you know, that could be miserable. Are people going to want to stand out and get drenched and rained on if it's bad rain? What about the athletes like Devin Haney and Ryan and stuff? You got the whole fight is contingent. The rematch is contingent on them passing their upcoming opponents. You don't want to get upset and you guys potentially are sending fighters out there cold. So it's going to be something to watch. I don't know that this was a great idea, again, to put it outdoors, but I have to see how it all plays out, and I'll just leave it at that. Let me know what you guys think.